All right, Dalton, now we're going to preview the only team from my home state in the FBS. That is the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, who had a really, really good year last year by their standards, man. They finished above 500 and won a bowl game for the first time in 9 years that either of those two things have happened. And the good news is the two biggest reasons for their success last year were running back Kyle Monangai, who we'll talk about in a little bit, and an above-average defense. That should remain the same this upcoming season as well. So you should think that, hey, this Rutgers team could have another decent year and maybe make it another bowl game out of that. Greg Schiano's doing a great job. The former Rutgers coach who was really great during their heyday, he leaves to become the Buccaneers head coach for a little bit. Now he's back as the Rutgers coach, kind of building them back up again. Really, he's doing a good job, I think, at Rutgers. But I think their biggest strength, Dalton, is easily their pass defense. They were among the Power 5's top 20 defense in terms of overall grade and EPA per play on passing plays last year. And they returned 10 of their 13 defenders who played at least 300 snaps last year as well. So that pass defense should remain really strong. I know they lost some players, some key players in that secondary like Max Melton, but I still think this is a really, really good defense in terms of pass rush and coverage unit heading into 2024. The opposite side, though, is where you get some problems. The passing game for Rutgers is going to be the biggest issue for them. With Minnesota transfer Ethan Kaliakmanis, we'll talk about in just a second. He had a 58.2 passing grade last year and a 38.9 passing grade under pressure last year as well. And that could be an issue because Rutgers last year, Dalton, was 108th in pass blocking grade and basically has the same offensive line as last year. So you have a quarterback who really struggles under pressure and a bad offensive line in terms of protecting the quarterback. That could spell trouble for Rutgers in terms of throwing the ball this upcoming season. But tell me more about Ethan Kaliakmanis, the Minnesota transfer, who should be Rutgers' new starting quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you watch him and you look at his frame and you look at his arm strength and you go, well, he should be able to do it. There's some nice throws on go routes. He was the 9th best thrower of go routes last year in the FBS, and he can make some throws to the deep outs and all the way to the sideline. Like, definitely his best attribute is his arm strength, right? Like, there is a clear ability when his feet are set that he could make every throw. The issue, obviously, is execution, right? He's one of the least accurate passers in the FBS last year at Minnesota. Just a 66.2 adjusted completion percentage. That was the 4th lowest among Power 5 quarterbacks. Like, it's just, like you said, under pressure, it's a problem because he's not really as mobile as you would think he is. And it just doesn't always get where he needs it to get. There's times where he looks kind of unbalanced in his delivery. Like, sometimes even with easier throws, you would think he would just be confident making. Like, there just isn't enough consistency. And and you would think, okay, they got a new quarterback, it should be an improvement on Gavin Wimsatt, but it feels kind of like a lateral move right now. Look, if he can get vertical and he can chuck balls down the sideline and maybe get a little bit better over the middle of the field, he could provide a spark for him. But he's got a lot to work on for sure, especially with his accuracy. Good news, like you mentioned in the running game, is you have Kyle Monangai standing behind you, standing next to you. And this guy is a missed tackle fiend, man. 5'9", 210 pounds, 7th best rushing grade in the country. 73 forced missed tackles, was 4th among Power 5 rushers. He's just angry. Like, he is the embodiment of Rutgers and Greg Schiano football. Let's just hit you in the mouth, and we're going to run and stop the run. And that's just, Kyle Monangai is as physical as any player at any position, not just running back, in the country. And he's a guy that the more you watch every single snap, like you watch him in their bowl game against Miami, and it's just a sledgehammer, man. Like, this is the type of football that Greg Schiano's always wanted to play. And in both stints since he's been at Rutgers, he's always had good running backs, good running games. This is the way he wants to play. And Kyle Monangai being back there is going to make things a lot easier for Kaliakmanis, hopefully, who they're trying to limit pass attempts to, right? Like, this is not a team that wants to throw the ball 30, 35 plus times, right? Ride Monangai as long as he can get you first downs and touchdowns. Kaliakmanis maybe make a vertical throw here and there, and that's your formula.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go to the defensive side of the ball after, one of the best running backs in the country. Go to a guy defensively in Aaron Lewis, the edge defender. I really like him, man. I think he actually was my honorable mention edge defender when I put out my top 10. Kind of had a disappointing junior year. Had a 75.9 grade in 2023. It's really not that bad. But the year before, he had an 85.5 grade in 2022. Mostly due to a 59.8 run defense grade that he had last year. He's still an elite pass rusher, man. In fact, over the last 2 years, he has a 91.5 pass rushing grade, which was 10th among all edge defenders in the country. 18.7% pass rush win rate, 11th among Power 5 edge defenders over the last 2 years. Over the last 2 years as well, he's the third most valuable returning Power 5 edge defender, according to our wins above average metric. So I think his pass rushing ability over the last 2 years that we've seen is enough for him to be like a top 15 edge in the country. And I think he's a really underrated player that Rutgers has on their defense. All right, Dalton, bottom line time now. Really successful year for Rutgers, like I said before, in 2023, winning a bowl game, going 7-6 overall. What are you expecting out of Rutgers in 2024? Will it be like that, or will they take a step back, do you think?
I think they look incredibly similar to how they looked last year, right? They're going to play good defense. They're going to run the ball with Monangai, and they're probably going to struggle in the passing game. Now, pretty much any history of successful football played at Rutgers involves Greg Schiano being the head coach, right? So you always kind of have to believe that they're going to play maybe a little bit better than you think. But I could see them having a very similar season, like 6-6, maybe win, maybe lose your bowl game, see what happens, see what matchup you get. But they're going to be decent. They're going to be competitive, and they're going to be really physical. Like, they're a team that you go in, and I think they gave Ohio State even a lot of problems last year, just their physicality and the way they stopped the run. It took Ohio State a long time to pull away from them in that game. They're going to be competitive, right? Maybe not at the very top, but I think a 6-6, a bowl game, all of that, again, kind of just the same they did last year. It's pretty realistic, and Schiano always puts a hard-nosed team out there.
So I'm looking at their schedule right now. They have a pretty easy schedule. They have the third easiest in our power rankings in the Big Ten. They avoid Michigan. They avoid Ohio State. They avoid Penn State. They avoid Oregon. They avoid a lot of schools, man. So they have a pretty relatively easy schedule. They play Vatech, which is a good non-con game. Other than that, man, their Big Ten schedule is very manageable, right? So, I think this is they avoid Iowa as well, too. So, yeah, I like their chances of making a bowl game once again in 2024 because of that schedule and because of the good defense and because of Kyle Monangai carrying that offense. But if they want to take a next step, they're going to need serious improvements in their passing attack in order to do that because it just doesn't look too great right now with Kalik-Manis leading the way and that offensive line struggling to protect the quarterback. And like I said before, Kalik-Manis struggles under pressure as well, which is not a great combination to have for Rutgers. But that's what we got for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights preview. Once again, doing this for every single one of these 70 Power 5 teams. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single one.